Oh, I hope it gives you goosebumps. Just take a look at that. Picture perfect Perth for this grand final 2021. They've turned it on. A big welcome, everyone, to Fox Footy's rolling coverage of the big day. It's taken a long time to get here, if you're a Melbourne fan particularly, but hopefully you are ready for what should be a huge afternoon and evening, whether you barrack for Melbourne or the Western Bulldogs, or you don't have a dog in the fight. We're going to bring you all the countdown here on Saturday Countdown, and who better, David King, than to take us through than the man. It is his day. The great David Pryor.
Don't act shy now. Your cover's blown.
That's very good from you. Better than we normally get. Good afternoon, boys. How are we?
How good was the look of that over in Perth?
Fantastic.
Sensational.
It's one of the best, if not the best looking pavilion in the world. That Coliseum look about it, state of the art. Yeah, what a place to showcase our game to the rest of the world.
Before he carries on, right, and we know he's the five-time, right?
Is he?
But I was staggered when I went and had a look at just because I knew that Hawthorn had the big run and clearly they've won a few. 7 grand finals in a row, Derm. That is 83 through to 89, is that right?
Yep.
7 in a row.
Did you get bored?
Did you get sick of it?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
No,
he never can.
If he's being his normal self, he talks about, well, you do it, but he talks about having to have a reunion every year. It becomes an inconvenience. He reckons he loses 3 weeks out of every year with reunions.
Oh, yeah. Well, just no, it's fantastic. It's great fun, but it's something you can have a laugh about, and yeah, I feel very fortunate to have done it. I try not to go over the top.
Here we go.
Hello.
Here we go. He's
got
him. He's got him.
Just, you know, sometimes you just got to let it all hang out, David.
You know what?
Have you got the night premiership ones as well?
No, I do actually have them.
I knew they'd be polished, put it that way.
Yeah, they get polished once a week.
I was going to say.
No, I mean, that's in all. We're mucking around.
Can we relive a little bit of...
How ordinary do they look? Seriously? The old ones?
That is.
The ones now are
the
like...
big gold ones.
Yeah, hang on. Come back to how they look, but here's...
Gary Buckenara.
Which year was
it?
it?
That was Whitty. That looks like... that's 89.
That's 89.
That's 89, Dipper.
You're hugging him really tight.
Squeeze the life out of him, the last life out of him.
He's got 4 broken ribs.
It's the lifetime work. The great E.J. Whitten. Look, he's just give me one into the broken ribs. It is the lifetime's work, Otto. That's you remember for so many things. David, you know this. Your life means so much, but these moments...
You still got the ball, Kingy.
Hung on to the footy. Greg Miller tried to sell it that night, even though he didn't have the footy. He tried to sell it at the auction. He said, I'm selling it regardless. Whether you give me the ball or not, I'm selling it. I said, well, you're going to disappoint someone.
Oh, the champ, Bobby
the champ.
Yeah.
But you're right, Derm. And these two teams today, I mean, the Dogs have been there before, so maybe it's a fraction different for them. But for Melbourne, the gap between that feeling and the other side of the coin, which we've both had as well, is you can't describe it.
They're always the most harrowing of pictures, and I'm always fascinated by how so many of you guys that have lost them have never watched those games back. You know, Rui talked during the week how he watched 15 minutes of the 2009 for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. Tim Watson said he saw an incident where Terry Danaher got outmarked, and he rang him on the 1990. What happened, Terry? And Terry went through the spiel of 10 minutes of the lead up to the play so he could remember it. But
that's a personal mindset. Though I reckon I've watched the losses more than I've watched the wins.
Really?
Back in the day when you were actually a player, you want to learn from, and you want it to burn, and you look at it and you have regrets, and it really wells up in you, and you think that's not going to happen again. Did 3 times, but you have to watch them.
How are they feeling now, do you think?
Well, we don't know. I mean, I think there's different players feel different. Look, if you're a defender, all you can think about is, I hope my man doesn't kick 6. And win the Norm Smith medal. That's probably the overarching theme if you're a defender, particularly if you're a key post. I mean, the jobs are big today, aren't they? Ben Brown could kick a bag today. Fritsch could get rolling. Aaron Norton. I mean, what a challenge these guys throw at you. This is a bit of fun. We used to have a bit of fun when we were at the Kangas. We'd say to Wayne, "Don't you let go of that cup first." and it can get quite awkward when they're hanging on to it for an inordinate amount of time.
There's been a few of those awkward moments.
Can I just say that some of those things, how they feeling now, there'll be certain blokes who turn up to the breakfast table, sitting next to their mates, and they'll just be fiddling at it. The nerves will get to, mightn't have any effect on them when they run out, but right now, the mind is, what if I do this differently to normal? What if this doesn't work for me? So many things influence the mind of a young man, a young footballer, before he's been on the absolute big stage.
One man who might be able to give us some insight into how the Demons, at least a feeling he's been there as a player, he's now an assistant, of course, and that is Adam Uzo as we head the Joondalup. Adam, really appreciate your time so close to the opening bounce. How are you, and how do you think your troops are?
Yeah, well, I'm better now. Had a few days of bit of food poisoning, but feeling better now. But our boys are ready. They've had a really good or a strong 2 weeks of training. Went for a little walk this morning, just to get out and about. Just went to the Oval around the corner, and they're nice and relaxed, and I think they're ready to go.
So we have a look at... G'day, Adam. Good luck today too. Hey, we have a look at them in racing parlance. Any of them come close to sweating up this morning?
Yeah, I think a few of the coaches did. Or we are. But no, they seem really relaxed. It was funny, I think, because we've had so long in the lead up. I think they were a little bit more nervous last week. So, we had a really strong hit out last Saturday. And we're prepared really well. So today they seem okay. We've obviously got a 40-minute bus trip into the city, so it'll be interesting to see how loud they are on the bus going into the game. But right now, the feeling is that they're pretty confident.
We try and draw parallels from our own careers, and predominantly we played at 2:10 on a Saturday. So grand final day, as you experienced as well, you wake up and your system, your routine is locked in. So it's another day, and it gets you into the routine, take your mind off the enormity of the occasion because you're right in that routine. It's a big space today. There's a lot of time for them to actually think about it. Is that help or hindrance?
Yeah, well, I think having a prelim as a night game as well is a nice lead-in. So, our players are prepared for that. And even being over here in Perth, it's a 5:15 start rather than a 7:15. So you're sort of getting ready by lunchtime rather than middle of the afternoon. So, like I said, we're fortunate that the prelim was just exactly the same setup, and hopefully we can perform the same.
It was good luck today. Hope it goes really well. I just want to know, when did you know that this was potentially a special team? Was there a marker in the year or a point where you thought we could actually be quite brilliant as a group?
Whether you say special team or brilliant, but I knew we had a lot of potential from the minute I walked into the footy club. So looking from afar, even from last year, just missing out on the finals, was a pretty good effort, but you could see that they had some talent, or we had some talent that could take us a fair way into September. So, so from the minute the players walked in, they were really driven from day one of pre-season. So if you've got that drive within your footy club, you're halfway there. So setting a plan and setting a really basic game plan around that, I thought the sky could be the limit.
Can I ask you some specifics on the way that you've tried to coach this midfield, and particularly Petrarca and Oliver, and the way they used to distribute the ball from the inside of the stoppage by hand to get to the outside? But by all reports, you've had a major influence on the leg drive component, to take the ball themselves from inside to outside, and it's had an amazing impact on scores from stoppages. Can you let us in a little bit on those conversations and how that unfolded?
Yeah, I suppose like scouting a Melbourne team of old, and in saying that they made the prelim in 2018, but there was a theory about around that if you could match them in the inside, you could beat them on the outside. So they always had, and we still do. We've got contested players that are very good on the inside and amazing at their craft. So just being able to balance that with the structure around that allows us to have the best of both. So we've come up against a team, and this team today is probably the best at it from going from inside to out. Geelong are very strong at it and have been for years, and so have Hawthorn. So, I was lucky enough to obviously spend a lot of time at Hawthorn that the balance around stoppage and contest is critical. So it gives you the best of both. So we still trust that we've got some strong inside bulls, and but hope that our mindset and our method around that gives us the best of both. So Clayton and obviously Christian have been pivotal to that, and as you can see in the vision, they're still doing what they normally do inside, but then given an opportunity to get on the outside and get some different possession than what they used to. So hopefully that's shining through.
We all want to get to the grand final when we do get that opportunity, feeling good, free of knocks, free of aches, free of pains. One game in the best part of 29 days. Is that the perfect prep?
Well, we're hoping it is. But leading into the prelim, we had exactly the same program. So we knew we had a 2-week break leading in the prelim. And in saying that, it wasn't a 2-week break. We had 2 really strong hit-outs that were high risk, but it needed to be done. So, we understood that the way that the final series is the set out of that is the teams that obviously didn't finish in the top 4 that had a different run through to the back end of the final. So we set a really good plan. We got some really good results in the prelim, and so we stuck to that. And like I said, two major hit-outs during the week that were game-like and with game intensity would hopefully feel like it's not 2 games in 4 weeks.
Adam, I'm wondering in the last, say, 5 or 6 days, if anything has changed tactically. Like, if it was a 1-week gap, would you have run out with the same plan exactly? Or have you, with a couple of nights out, I've thought of something. We might just need to adjust this slightly.
Yeah, I think every morning we wake up with a different plan. We come up with, I think a lot of the coaches that put their head down, going to sleep at night, and then coming up with a different idea in the morning. But that's obviously the risk with the 2-week break leading into the grand final. So no, we've tried to keep everything really similar. We're not going to give our players anything different that we haven't done all year. So there will obviously be different levers that we can pull game day that we've done or that we have pulled during the year. But there won't be any tricks or anything different that the players wouldn't have seen before. So trying to keep it as basic as we can and as we have done all year.
So Melbourne fans watching at home, watching on the screen tonight, what should they be looking for to say, yep, we're on top here? We know the Dogs like to flood numbers around the action, around stoppage and make it difficult for you to move the ball. What specifically could they see to say we're in control here?
I think control is going to be a really tough thing to do. So against the Doggies, there's a lot of momentum shifts. So the game against against the Lions, there was times in that game when you felt like the Lions were right on top and then the Doggies would kick 2 or 3 in a row. So, but for us, we understand that they're very strong around the footy. Their contested ball and their clearances are pivotal to the way that they play the game. So there's going to be different things and there will be some momentum shifts in that area. But we feel like we've planned really well for it. We understand. We've played them 3 times this year, and in those games there was momentum shifts as well. So, so I think our supporters, if we see a high energy, high pressure game from our players that are connected defensively, then we give ourselves a big chance of winning this game.
Well, congratulations on what you've achieved so far. Of course, the big one is still to cut. You got time for room service before you go, or are you?
No, just bread and butter for me.
Don't take the risk.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight.
No worries, guys. Thanks, heaps.
Luckos.
Adam Uze, former star of the D's, and of course now one of the key assistants. And as you alluded to, he's made a big contribution to this team. Can they get the job done? Will Maxi fire like last time? Will it be the Bond? Will JJ reprise his Norm Smith medal, or will it be the hair of Bailey Smith? All the names, all those things to contemplate. We'll get to a very nervous Gary Lyon next. Forget the grand final. The biggest battle of the egos is going to be coming up on the KFC longest kick. Who do you like out of the...
Well, Jack should win. He only needs to get on to one, doesn't he? Jack's got to win.
Nick will take it seriously. We know that.
He takes everything seriously.
Cameron Mooney will look good.
Yeah.
Nothing will come of it.
Not deliver. He'll just take it to the left.
Jono will laugh as if he's not putting in, but underneath he's having a real big dig.
I'm worried about Lewis. I mean, if this is a long kicking comp, I'm super concerned about Lewis.
Well, Louis was fully fit and winning premierships. He couldn't kick over a jam tent. So how's he going to go in this?
Jared Ruffhead looked like he was just come from the underbelly set.
Who looked the most out of place in
Morans.
that, did you think?
Oh, Dal. Everyone, that was quite funny. Dal looked like, he just didn't fit the part. Eddie actually looked like he was in his natural environment.
Yeah.
And he's the soundtrack to his life as well. Yeah, he's just cruising.
That's coming up, the KFC longest kick. So while we're on the Colonel, the delivery man is delivered by KFC. And it doesn't get a much bigger stage than we've got tonight. So who must deliver, do you think, for the team tonight, Kingy?
Well, we've talked about this a lot through the course of your leadership. It all comes down to your leaders, your top 3, 4, 5 leaders, your designated group, or just your captains. So if you just look at what Max Gawn can bring to the game and what Marcus Bontempelli can bring to the game, then for me, that's where it sits. Both going to be at the coalface, both going clearances and winning that initial opportunity is going to be king tonight. If you can get your hands on the ball at stoppage, you're going to go a long way to controlling the game.
Yeah. Big Max changes the way teams play, just where he stands on the ground. He stands down the line. He makes the teams change their direction, the way they want to play.
Can Martin blunt him, do you think?
Martin is the most important player on the ground today.
Most important.
Most important. He could play a ripping game and still not get in the best players, but it's what he can do to nullify this man.
Where can he nullify? Is it just purely at bounce that he can nullify it?
Well, first thing is, if you're kicking down the line, Max reaches half a metre taller than everyone else on the ground, and he stops that ball in progress and kicks it back to where it came from, and they're under pressure again. So he has to make sure that Gawn does not rule supreme above head down the line for that straight line kick. He's got to make sure that the Oliver and Petrarca don't get an armchair ride, hit to advantage at the centre bounce. So those are the things he's got to get. It's a win for the Dogs if Steph Martin makes it a break even.
You've had trouble growing facial hair for the best part of 50 years.
We've got to move
Just
on to
give
the
us a
point.
look. Give us a
And
look.
body hair. Over your mouth. That's better.
Leave it alone for an hour and a half, can you?
Glad you did that.
Bontempelli is a different story, isn't he? Because his footy IQ, Derm, his ability to orchestrate himself as the spare at clearances, at stoppages, particularly boundary throw-ins, is something that's hard for the opposition to curtail, because everyone goes in their set roles and structure overrides the individual tagging role or the assigned function on Bontempelli. So what he does at stoppages, I think, will be the watch for me. And it's not... In general play, we know what he does. We know he's a great ball user. He can potentially be a multiple goal kicker tonight. But the organisation at stoppage, you stand there, he's free. He becomes the hit two man. He's the one for me. If Melbourne can find a way to stop Bont, I'd nearly say they're in trouble to win.
It's a fair call.
Yeah.
That's a fair call. I've got a feeling that if the Doggies are to win, I'd be 99% sure Bontempelli wins the Norm Smith.
Norm Smith. Yeah, okay. Well, this man's probably had the biggest 2 weeks of anyone in Perth, of course. He is the former Melbourne captain and champion, and he's our very own as well. He's Gary Lyon joining us from Count Towers over there in Perth. Gazza, how you going?
Hey, boys, I am here, but I'm struggling to hear you, Anthony. I was hearing you, but you've just gone a little bit fuzzy. So I think you said hello to me. G'day back. Great to be here. Cracking day. I think you can see the ground in the background. The helicopters arrived. Pav's helicopter just dropped him off for the big game. So looking forward to it. So excited.
Does it feel like destiny?
You can make the case. You can make the case, but there's this team in red, white, and blue that are going to sit across the other side of the line and going to have a fair say in that. So, yeah, it's got all the makings of a fantastic romantic story and the breaking of a long 57-year drought. But we know that doesn't always work. I mean, you go and ask Nathan Jones about destiny and fairy tales. Doesn't always happen in footy. So they've got to go out and win it, Melbourne.
Gaz, Daniel Day-Lewis was in a movie, There Will Be Blood. Today, there will be tears. Are you going to be Melbourne's Nuffy like Richo was the Tigers, like Bob Murphy was for the Dogs 5 years ago? Are you the Nuffy tear crier?
Sam Newman once told me it's a character flaw, Dermot. But the emotions are real. You know what they're like. You don't. You used to win them for fun. But it is, it's real. It's been an emotional build-up. I spoke yesterday about, the heartbreak and the tragedy that's been surrounding this club for a long, long period of time. So, no, It could very well be, Dermo. If they come, they come.
Yeah, good luck to you, mate. You've earned them if you do get to do it that way.
No question. We've got a slight delay and you're not even asking a question. Gaz, when did you know? When did you know that this group could be the premiership group, the premiership squad that were going to give Melbourne an opportunity to right the wrongs of, 50-odd years?
Yeah, I needed more convincing than probably most because of history, Kingy. You see some signs and then you get disappointed or let down as a supporter the next week, and then they show a bit, and that happened from year to year as well, to be perfectly honest. Melbourne supporters would be well aware of the roller coaster nature of that. So, yeah, I needed, probably more convincing than anyone. And, around 6 to 8, you realise that they're a good side, and then it just stacked up. And, when you talk to Simon Goodwin, the thing about Simon and his attitude to the group was that he has never wavered once in the past 2 to 3 years, to be perfectly honest. He's just got imperious faith in this playing group, and it's sort of been borne out a bit, which again took me a little bit longer to be convinced, but as the season wore on, it became pretty obvious. And then you go into the minutiae, the much more technical stuff that all you guys do, and the way they play stands up, and it sort of mirrors a really good footy side. And, hopefully by 8 o'clock, 8:30 tonight, it's going to mirror a premiership team.
What is it that you loved about what Simon Goodwin had to say pre that big game against the Cats?
I think you said, what did I like, what he had to say before the game, Hutto?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that he did that interview with, Brownie and Nick and Eddie, and he was really strong. He just said, we've just got to be us. There's nothing that they need to change. He's got the confidence in the ability of the team to play a certain way. And he said, if we're us, he was really definitive in that interview. He said, if we're us, we win, which I looked at and thought, gee, that's supreme confidence and faith in his group. So, and I was out there, I haven't been there this week, but last week, and spoke to Goody and the boys for us, for Fox, and that's exactly the way they think. They think that their best is good enough, and I know the Bulldogs think the same. So it's going to be a belter.
That's the mentality of it, Gaz, but I cannot commend him highly enough. There is a total and utter buy-in, the likes of which we probably haven't seen from before, in a Melbourne team where the common cause is just, it's golden. It's everything to them. They are just so selfless, like I've never seen before.
Yeah, you're right, no question. We hear a lot of talk. All teams talk. Pre-season, that's what you do. How's the side going to go? Oh, we think we're this and that. And that was a really strong message coming out from Melbourne, that they needed to develop a selflessness and forget about individual honours or 35 possession games. And you hear it and you go, yeah, fair enough, that sounds good, but let's see it. And I think the heartening thing is that they've lived it, and it shows itself up in a whole manner of ways. And there's obvious ways, Brayshaw gets pushed out of the midfield, goes to the wing, prepared to play a role. Was a runner-up and a Brownlow medalist in the midfield. He could stamp his feet and say, hey, what about me? But goes to the wing and accepts what comes his way. And there's a whole host of that throughout this whole group. So that's pleasing. The penny drops. And I always say the irony, you say, let's park individual for team, and then the individual honours come anyway. So it's been a great thing to watch.
You've been out and about a fair bit in Perth this week, Gaz. What's it like? What's the build-up like? Can you compare it to what you've lived and seen in the build-up to the normal MCG Melbourne atmosphere with the parade and those sorts of things? Clearly, it's different, but is there a comparison you can draw at all?
It's great, King. It's unbelievable. It's like I don't know. I've been lucky to go to a few Super Bowls, and that's what it feels like to me. It's a city who knows they're not going to have it every single time and may not have it again even. And it's this great appreciation and sense that, we've got a responsibility given circumstances. The responsibility's been handed to us. We need to put on the best show possible. And the whole city's embraced that. They really have. The people are excited. They feel honoured and privileged to be able to host it. You know what Western Australian footy people are like. They're as mad and passionate and crazy as we are back home in Victoria. And they think they can do as good a show as we can back there. So they're going to put on a show. The people I think they've embraced Melbourne, to be honest, which is understandable given the history. And, if it was the Bulldogs in 2016 that was playing here, then the same thing would happen. But, no, there's great excitement. There really is. And I think they're really proud of the stadium they've got. It's an I've been there a couple of times. It is just an extraordinary joint. So the twilight whole aspect of this is going to be really, really special. So there's great excitement, but Kingy, it's more about, Melbourne people do it and they do it knowing that it's going to come back again and again and again. So if they miss out, they might get to the next one. This city, the fight for a ticket here is as intense as I've ever seen it. So it's a great buzz.
Have you practiced at all, Gaz? Have you practiced just passing over the cup?
So, Anthony, I can't hear you again. What to say it again, please?
Have you practiced passing over the cup?
No, that's all I've been doing. I just go down to the gym every morning and just practice like this, you pickle.
Hey, Gaz, in all seriousness, Monday nights on the couch, we've got you on a screen. Will you be a little bit fuzzy on the screen on Monday night? Will you turn up if the D's win?
Full expectation as we stand here right now, Dermot, at 25-1, is that I will be back in Melbourne in the studio for the grand final edition of The Couch. Now, given the circumstances that may unfold, I can't guarantee I'll be there. But that's right now where I'm expected to be.
Well done, mate.
Hey, guys, well done. You've done awesome work for us over there over the last couple of weeks. It's been a big month for you leading in. We've all got our fingers crossed. We know what it'll mean to you and your sons and your brother and your family and all your Melbourne ex-teammates and some, of course, that the tragedy that the club's endured. So if you do shed a tear, it'll be absolutely apt if you get to hand over the cup. Gaz. So good luck, Gaz.
Good on you, boys. Really appreciate the support and can't wait to talk to you at some stage post-game, hopefully from a celebratory Melbourne room.
All right. Gaz is going to keep continuing on to be part of our build-up in the lead-up to the bounce of the ball.
We're working him hard, aren't we?
After we're gone. We are. How's he coping, do you think?
In between cashies, he's on air.
He's getting a bit tired. He might be tired and emotional tonight. All right.
About 90 minutes, he'll be sweating up big time.
The countdown continues to the bounce of the ball in the grand final. And as we said, when we're off, it's the longest kick coming up. Oh, the images and the voices of the week leading into the grand final. Gets the blood stirring again.
Good, isn't
Doom's just about out of his seat and ready to go. We'll have some exclusive vision never been seen before from 1989 grand final coming up. Never been seen before that Doom ordered. Just before we get into that, the profile of these two teams, the way they play, Kingy, how do you see them facing off?
Look, in simple terms, it's the battle of the extra player. So the Dogs want the extra player at the coalface, where the ball is, and that player lives as the extra. Wherever the ball rolls up and down the ground, they will track and follow. So they'll try and have 7 midfielders versus the opposition 6. But behind the ball will be Melbourne spare. So they'll have a +1 at all times as a holding halfback flanker. And it's just going to be a battle of whether the extra midfielder or the wave running of the Dogs can get through Melbourne. If they can't, then they'll just return serve all day, the Ds, and they'll get hold of them. And then you look at clearances, if they've got the extra number there, Derm. Can the Dogs generate enough opportunities from that stop play? And that fundamentally is the game. Who plays that best? We don't know. We're sitting here guessing. But they're the two strengths of these two teams that come together tonight.
I would totally agree with that. That's a great synopsis on it. The one thing I reckon the Dogs have in the match which the Demons don't, they have a key forward who can win the ball in the air on worst-case scenario. I don't think that Ben Brown's going to win 4 contested marks in the air again against Alex Keith. I don't think they've got... And so they're going to have to kick some shifty goals. They're going to have to make space on the lead and the likes. But Aaron Norton wins the ball on worst-case scenario in the air. He's the only one on the ground who does it. In fact, he's probably the best in the league at doing that. And that's their trump if things are at an even stance throughout the midfield.
They have the best 2 words in footy this week, though, Melbourne. No change. No change. So they're a settled group. I think they've had 18 of their selected 23 have played all of the last 6 games. So it's only been those bottom 2 spots they've jockeyed around. The Dogs have been all over the place.
But that's just Bevo's way, isn't it?
It is.
He's
injury,
lived
though,
that way.
I mean, Keith's coming back. Waitman's coming back from concussion. So there's been a little bit of injury impact there as well. Bruce went out late in the season, which caused some confusion and changed things a little bit.
Do you like being the hunted? Or being the best, and that means you are the hunted or the hunter?
don't know. I don't have the answer to that. What I do like is the fact that the Demons make it so hard to do anything, to move the ball. The game lives in pressure. They're not afraid to turn the ball over Melbourne. They'll throw it into contest and they'll back Petrarca and Oliver and Gawn and those guys to win contests. So this will be a brutal game.
So how brutal, and will it be a personal brutality? Will they charge after one player, say like, I don't know, Yates on Brereton, say, in 1989?
You think they'll go after Max?
I don't think they will. I mean, but let's see. See what's in it.
I think they'll just have an underline there, and if you can put poundage on Max, make it desperately uncomfortable for him. Yeah. Just make it a really uncomfortable day for Max.
Port Adelaide did do it, in round 1, 2019. It did work. It was such a shock.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's been well forecast and talked about now. Yeah. It's not going to surprise them if something happens.
I genuinely think the more coaches talk about this stuff, the less it's likely it's going to happen.
Yeah, that is.
It's just sow the seed. We don't buy into that stuff. Let's just do what
It'll be interesting, though, to see whether it's Max or not, what sort of angst there is between the two sides, whether it's one side physical or verbal or whatever it is. It'll just be interesting to see how that game is played out, and we'll get a feel for that from the start. So, 89... Kingy, have you seen this vision?
Yeah, no, I have, but I saw a new piece of it today. I've heard Dermot break down games before. Have a look where Yates is. Top right-hand corner there. How did you not see him? Where's the peripheral vision?
Well, I had my eyes on Busey and
40 metres.
Buddha Hocking.
Look, what are you looking at? Look,
how did you not see him?
Well, you know what? You deserve to get your ribs broken if you can't see someone coming from that far. You deserve that.
Yeah. Some would say for not even seeing it.
Justin Kaczynski has better peripheral vision. What happened to you?
And I reckon a couple of his teammates saw him coming too.
And gave them the old A.
And they just said, go for it.
That's the first time I've laughed about this. Oh, yeah, good on you.
Look how many doctors and trainers it took to get him up too.
Yeah, you big pussy cat.
Look, here I come.
I never saw him until the last step.
I don't know what you were looking at.
I was looking at bloody the couch. You just won the
hair
Brownlow, and Busey was in there, and I was just looking for someone to pick off.
So the Cats have had a reasonable start, haven't they?
Can I tell you, the umpire came over here, and I can remember one word, a couple of words he said, how is he? And our trainers yelled at him and said, he's this and he's that, and you should protect him. And the umpire, I thought, was going to be sympathetic, but the umpire turned around and said, get him out or you've got 5 in the square.
And James, he's saying, don't put him to full forward, he's got to come off the line again.
He's cannon fodder.
Is there any sort of version of that you can do these days or not really?
No, you can't. I've got tears.
But in a
Could we do it?
In a weird way, I'm glad they did do it in 89. It is good to watch.
Unfortunately, they got the whack, I got that. Hey.
It's true. Good comeback.
Yeah, no, fair comeback. Grand final experience.
Shiny, those.
Yes, that counts.
Does it matter?
It does count.
Yes.
Dean, it makes a difference when you turn around in the room and you say, what's it like such and such? And not that anyone out there, we got Grev here. Well, Grev, what's it like such? And you can't answer. You can't answer. Only Jake Lever can say, it's pretty ordinary when you're playing a losing one. No one can say, these are the moments you need to draw on. And yet you can turn sideways in the doggies' room and ask somebody, what do I do here? All right, we were down at half-time.
Is it that different, though? That
it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
It's unfair to use Grev. He's a Saints man. Really, he would have no idea.
Sorry, Grev.
I think when you're trying to play the perfect game, that it can get tight. But because the Demons play in a contest and high turnover brand of football, I don't think they'll get consumed by the pressure of every possession. With the Cats, the way the Cats play, this is what we keep talking about with the style of football you play. Geelong will make a couple of errors, and all of a sudden you get tight with those short kicking options. So I don't think it'll affect the way they play, the build-up and all that sort of stuff. Maybe.
Quarter time, half time. You sit down in the rooms next to it, and the other team surged ahead of you. You've got to have a feeling of, what do we do now? How do we pull this together? And you'd like to turn around to a bloke who's just played in a couple of premierships and say, what do we do in this moment? And he just calms you. I mean, it was awesome sitting next to Michael Tuck at half-time in some grand finals. You know he'd been He'd played in 14 grand finals previously. So you drew on that experience, yeah.
So what about the time in between, the double 2-week gaps for Melbourne? You think
My main worry for me,
Yeah.
I've gone the Ds. I think they can get this done today, but that's my main worry.
So round 23 they played, and then that was August 20. Then they played again on August 28. Then the bye, they played September 10, and then not again until September 25.
The best part of 29 days, and they've played one game, soft game, 40 minutes of meaningful football.
So when you came through, we had a final 5.
Yep.
And teams, if you finished on top, you would win the first week. You'd be straight into you'd have a week off, straight into the second semi-final. You win again, and you're in the grand final.
Decided advantage.
So it's the same.
No, it's not.
The opposition's different.
Because you're playing against opposition that are progressively playing against a better opposition. Each week they go out there and they're playing 4 weeks in a row. No break.
But you've had the same amount of football as those teams had.
Absolutely. But they've played 4 in a row, no break. And they are coming from a long way back to hit the finish line same time as you with no rest in their bodies.
So if I asked you at the start of these 2 campaigns, which one do you want? Which one would you have taken?
You know what?
Because I think I'd take the no risk. If we're not playing, we're not getting injured. We're not getting banged up. They can do
But
a
now
hard.
you're here, though. Now you're here. That's
Yeah, but you sort of.
So beforehand,
you
yes,
can't
you'd take-
ask for something and then be disappointed about it in retrospect. I think if you offered me the 2 plans, I'd take Melbourne's plan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
I'd
they're
take
full
Doggies.
health. Yep.
I take Doggies. If I can put this to you, if Doggies had finished 4th and still played all these games to get there, which is feasible, and they get that week before the grand final, it's a real benefit. They've been really battle hardened, match hardened, and they've got the break at the right time. I think it's a much better prep. As we heard from Adam Uze, really willing contest because they're trying to replicate hard matches. It's like facing up in the nets, mate. You ask one of your teammates to bowl fast to you in the nets, it ain't the same as facing him in the middle of the ground, opposition bowling fast at you. You want that real battle, hard situation coming at you. And everyone's at the same in the last 14 days. They're all freshened up.
Well, coming up, our Fearless predictions, but after that, we're going to head to Marvel Stadium. It's the 2021 edition of the KFC, the longest kick. The biggest egos in the building gathered to butt heads. It'll be captivating viewing, I think, and it's coming up on our grand final day on Fox. History to be made. Who's going to join them tonight? It's only the best.
Look at his neck hanging forward.
Thrive. Okay, give us a tip and a Norm Smith for tonight then.
I genuinely believe that it's going to be a low single-figure margin, so it wouldn't surprise me if it went to extra time. But I think the the Demons probably hang out till then. One straight kicker in extra time. So that's really going into it hardcore. But I think that the D's in a real tight one. And I reckon Clayton Oliver is the kind who'll stand in the middle of the arena and Russell Crowe words will say, "Are you not entertained?"
Okay, so
The
you...
most theatrical tipping I've ever heard of.
I just asked for a tip. Kingy?
No, mine's pretty simple. Melbourne have been defensively the strongest team for the year. I'd be disappointed if it fell apart today for them. They've been so good. No. And Christian Petrarca, he's the model of that Norm Smith medalist, a goal-kicking, accumulating midfielder. I'll tip Christian. Yourself?
Yeah, Melbourne for me, and Jack Viney is a little bit of an outsider there. That'll be an emotional Norm Smith medal winner, I'm sure, for D's fans. Now,
There is
not
one
the only-
certainty today.
Yeah.
It's these blokes.
The Storm.
The Melbourne Storm. They've been unbelievable all year, and we wish them all the best. Craig Bellamy and Dale Finucane and the boys.
Legends.
They're having an unliverable run, so good luck to the Storm today.
Yes,
Don't
absolutely. Go Stormy.
Don't forget the magnificent night posters, the premiership posters.
They look good.
From the Herald Sun, the fantastic doggy. So thanks to everyone being part of the crew, Tim, Grev, Brad, Pete, Rowdy, Greg, couple of Alexes, the whole team that have helped support us through Countdown. And no thanks to these blokes. But the longest
Yatesy?
kickers coming up.
Where's Yatesy?
Go Dogs, go D's.
Look out, them.